Open enrollment is underway, but this year's Affordable Care Act marketplace looks very different for many Americans. With pandemic-era premium tax credits set to expire and premiums projected to climb, policymakers and consumers are watching closely ahead of the deadline. Joining us to break it all down is Alejandra Castillo, former U.S. Assistant Secretary at the U.S. Department of Commerce. So glad to have you with us, Alejandra.
Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, so to just get us started here, the Affordable Care Act, perhaps you can just share with our audience exactly what it is, what it was designed to do, and who it's tailored for.
Sure. So the Affordable Health Care Act, passed during the Obama administration, was really a Herculean task to deliver health care for millions of Americans who couldn't afford it. We saw for decades how we tried to grapple with healthcare. And most importantly, as we stand here today, I think what's critical for your viewers is to also understand that during the pandemic, there were a set of subsidies that were also provided to once again help millions of Americans be able to afford healthcare, as well as make sure that their families were had accessible and affordable health care. Now, today, we're seeing these ACA subsidies on the verge of lapsing, expiring. And that is critical. So on January 1st, these subsidies will expire, which will raise the cost enormously, especially for hardworking Americans, low-income Americans who have enjoyed ACA, but now are going to see those premiums really rise by almost 600%, possibly.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, well, and the ACA is tailored for people who do not receive insurance through their employer, or if they're freelancers, if they work in that gig economy, that they don't have regular benefits, that this is something that they would pay into at a much lower rate than if they were to buy private insurance.
Yeah, that's correct. And thank you for underscoring that. Absolutely. For millions of Americans who before could not even access or afford the ACA brought that to so many millions of Americans to finally have health care, sometimes for the first time because there were they couldn't access it through their employers, correct?
Mm-hmm. And so with the expiring credits and so forth, clearly the ACA had a bit of a shelf life, and Congress was to vote and push this through to the Senate. Now, there was a vote recently. What happened during that time in the Capitol?
Sure. So I have to also go back a bit. When the big, beautiful bill was being debated, Democrats raised this as a key issue. Democrats raised it again as a key issue during the government shutdown, and they're raising it again. As a matter of fact, at the moment of this recording, the breaking news, 4 Republicans have decided to support the Democrats in calling a vote on the House floor, and hopefully we will see that happen. That's called a discharge petition, where 218 members of Congress have decided to basically break away from the committee and force the vote. So we are now going to see next week, there's a 7-day waiting period. We're going to see next week a vote on the ACA, making sure that these subsidies do not lapse. On the Senate side, as you know, there was a failed vote there, but now we're looking at a different dynamic. At the end of the day, what's incredibly important to truly deliver is to make sure that these subsidies continue, because given the current rate of inflation, given the current rate of unemployment, given the current rate of the cost of living, it would be tremendously harmful for more than 20 million Americans to have to now endure a almost 600% increase in their healthcare costs.
So if these tax credits were to be extended, would everything remain status quo? And what really needs to change? Is it the ACA and the benefits that come through that, or is it the health industry, the healthcare industry as a whole? Because even for employers and people who can right now afford private insurance, it's astronomical.
That's an excellent point, and you're absolutely right. When you look at the cost of healthcare around the world, here in America, we have perhaps the highest cost that people need to endure. I do also want to pay attention to the fact that if these subsidies do lapse, we all pay for it because we will need now to make decisions as to whether we put food on the table or whether we get health care. And what tends to happen is that then individuals will then go to the emergency rooms, which, it is you mentioned astronomical costs. It raises the cost of health care. So not only do we delay health care, but we then go to the most expensive form of health care.
Yeah, that is a conversation for another time. I would love to have it with you. Alejandra Castillo, thank you so much for joining us and laying it all out for us. Let's hope for the best before J1.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be back after this.